Yo, what's good, East Bear in the building? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Kueen Talk. Today's special guest is Holly Alderson.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me today on Kueen Talk. If you want to let the guests know a little bit about yourself.
Of course. So my name's Holly Alderson. I'm 24 years old, born and raised here in Wichita, Kansas, half black, half white, and I am pansexual.
Yes, thank you for joining me here today. I love that the word is spreading, you know?
Oh,
friends
yes.
are telling friends, it's getting out there. We getting more guests on here. And you said you heard from Elliot, right?
Yes.
Who was on here before. If you haven't watched his podcast, go check it out. But yeah, so you say you're pansexual.
I am, yeah.
That's a first for Kueen Talk, by the way.
No way.
Yeah. So if you can like elaborate, like what does pansexual mean? Like what?
So, pansexual, for the longest time, I always just identified as bisexual. But I did a little bit more research into, the specifics of the term. Pansexual just kind of feels more open, I don't care what you are. I don't care. If we have a connection, then we have a connection. So that's always been my, key thing about that.
Yeah, pan meaning like all, you're into literally everyone. And like you said, there is a differentiation between that and bisexual.
Yes.
I think some people, like you took your journey and path to realize that.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you get to, so when did you identify as bisexual? When did you come out as?
So I've always known I was bisexual, but I went to private Christian school. So I wasn't out and about it. Until my senior year, I went to public school, and I was just started over, and if anyone ever asked, I was bi. So I never came out, I just went to a different school, and that was just my new public. I wasn't hiding it anymore. So I was bi in high school, then end of senior year, Miley Cyrus came out as pansexual.
Okay.
Miley Cyrus came out as pansexual, and I said, what is that? And that's when I, started doing research on it.
Okay, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that Miley Cyrus was even a part of the community, to be honest. But so in high school, that's when you came out as. So you said when people asked you, you would.
Yeah, so I had a girl I took to prom my senior year. I was very just I like guys, I like girls, I like just always open like that. But at the school I went to, private Christian school, you don't talk about that. So I never, if anyone asked, I would deny it, anything like that. But once I got to senior year, I was just so out and open about it.
So you went to public school your senior year of high school?
Yes.
Why did you were you like, I need to try this out?
I got kicked out of private Christian school.
Oh.
I got kicked out. Terrible reason. But, it's private Christian school. They can kick you out for anything because they don't get any funding, so they're able to make decisions on who can go, who needs to leave, stuff like that. But
Were you on multiple strikes? I mean, this is your senior year of high school. Did you have warnings or?
No, not really. No, I was never the good kid anyways, so I'm assuming it was just that was enough for them.
Okay. Do you want to disclose what that was, or you just rather not?
Yeah, I'll tell you about it. It's because that's what makes it the worst. There was a rumor going around the school that I was no longer a virgin.
Oh.
I was, but I didn't know how to fight that. So I went to the office, and they're like, "Oh, there's this rumor," and that was why.
And so that was it. That the rumor, and then.
It was a rumor. They were with your behavior, there were, photos of me outside of school in too short of shorts, that sort of a thing. So they were this accusation lines up with what we've been seeing in you. So
was your parents there to defend you, or
they just took it and went. They were angry about it, but they've always been the type to kind of keep it more down low, so they just took it, unfortunately. But I was pumped. I wanted to
Oh,
go to senior year. I wanted to go somewhere for senior year that I could like enjoy myself.
okay, so you weren't bummed about like
Oh
getting.
no, I begged my parents every year of that school to let me go to public school.
Okay, so
I begged them.
okay, so it just finally happened. Like, you got
Yeah.
that. All
That was my
right.
saving grace, I swear.
Okay, so that was a positive for you being
Yeah.
kicked out. And so you went to what high school did you?
I went to Circle.
Okay, that's what I thought, but
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. So how was that for you? I mean, I'm from El Dorado, so
Right.
it's like right down the street.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me personally, I know like I don't know what school you went to before, but it's pretty white.
Yes.
Don't rarely see people of color. So what was your experience like?
So when I went to Circle, I remember the very first day, I only knew about 3 people in the school. I walked in on my first day, and a kid walked up to me, and he said, "You're new. I can tell because you're black. We don't get a lot of you here." And then just walked away. So that was like my first experience at Circle. So I was like, okay, this is about to be something crazy. But at the Trinity, the private Christian school I went to, that was already such an overhang. That sounds bad. Like there was always this just like everyone kind of knew that these people were racist, but they didn't, they didn't do much about it. It was at Circle. It was like it was easier because like they would come up to me and they were making fun of me for being black. But, like, at Trinity, they would make fun of you for being black, not a good enough Christian, gay, all these other things. But at Circle, like, that was the only thing that they had, like, against me. And I liked that.
Oh gosh,
They only had
so
one
bad.
thing
That's
against
so
me.
bad. That's so bad, Holly.
And I could
like,
stand up for my race, but, like, they would just come up and yell at me for that. And it was like I was getting a break from bullying, which is wild that a little bit of bullying made me feel relieved, but like it was so nice.
Yeah,
it was so good.
Well, it that wasn't like that's completely opposite of what I'm thinking right now. Like that's not nice. That's not good. That's not a good feeling. Like for you, obviously coming from somewhere that was you're just like, oh, it's a little better over here, so I can withstand this. But the fact that you're just like, it was so great. It was so nice. It's just like I don't even know how to like put that into words. Just like it, but it wasn't okay. Like that's not okay. And I'm sorry that was your experience because, and I know what Circle was like, but I wasn't gonna say it. Like I was like maybe like behind closed doors and stuff like that. They were definitely saying that, and of course like microaggressions, but to that extent of just like them coming straight to my face and just like, at school specifically, that wasn't my personal experience for that. And I'm so sorry like that was your experience, and you're just over here thinking like it was just a little better than what it was. And I had to like I know, but like how are you feeling like in those moments for real? Like besides just like saying it's okay, like it was like how are you truly feeling in those moments like when that was happening to you?
The thing is I'm mixed, but I was adopted by 2 white parents.
Okay.
And they didn't introduce me to anything in the black culture at all. So I was extremely whitewashed by that point. So it was like they were making fun of me for these things that were stereotypes, but they were like so detached from what I had been taught. It was just like, like I didn't understand what they were talking about. So though it was bad, I didn't have enough confidence in my black side to be offended. You know what I mean? To be like hurt like that. This is bad because of this. I didn't know enough about it. But if someone said that to me now,
Yeah.
If someone said that to me now, it'd be different. But like back then, it was just I wasn't confident enough in that aspect of me. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you brought up a point of just like, so you're adopted.
Yes.
And your parents didn't introduce you to that side of your culture. Have you had that conversation? Like, when did you get introduced? Like, did you do that for yourself after you graduated? Like,
yeah, so I did it mostly for myself. After graduating, I went to a way more diverse college, and it was fantastic. But I had talked to my parents about it before because it was like I didn't know how to do my own hair until I was like 19. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. But like, they never taught me those things because they didn't know, my hair texture is different than yours. We have different curls. They didn't talk to us about what else did I kind of bring up to her? Cornrows was a big issue. I got cornrows one time. I had to take them out because my parents thought it looked trashy. And it's just like those type of swear.
I'm sorry.
Those kind of just like weird misconceptions because like they were like, like braids in the hair aren't professional, but they had all these different misconceptions. I was raised learning that. So I talked to them. I said, I'm like, you really did not set me up to be like, I understand when people my age aren't as accepting of people if they were raised in the same environment I am, because that stuff gets grained, like it's drilled into you. So like I told them, like, you guys, like, I'm really lucky I wasn't like that when I got older, but you guys really did like drill some really bad morals and ideas into my head. But I learned a lot more now. Did some more research. The Black Lives Matter group and the rallies started when I was still pretty young. Not young, but I think I was in my 20s. And that taught me a lot. That whole thing taught me a lot.
Yeah. Sidebar, are you in therapy?
I am.
Okay. Okay, good.
I am.
There's so much here, and I'm just like, so obviously you've had that like you speaking right now, it was like this is what you said to your parents, and like how did they take that? Like what was their understanding, and what was
they said, we're sorry if you the classic, we're sorry if you feel we messed up, but we just don't talk about it. Which I know as a child growing up, that's not a healthy thing to do. Mm-hmm. But sometimes as an adult, not talking about it is the only way that we can all live and just like be happy and be together. And that's just what we do, Yeah,
I don't think you're the only family that does that part though. Like I feel like that is a thing that happens, is like as adults we're just like, okay, it is what it is now. If we don't discuss it and we don't bring it up, we're still here, but I feel like it's not good to keep it inside, especially to like something like this. Like if it's hurting the dynamic of just like wanting to be seen, like being seen for who you really are,
right?
And it brings me to the questions of just like, so you have multiple siblings.
I do, yeah.
And so were you guys all adopted together?
Yes. So, well, my older brothers, they're twins. They were adopted together, and then I'm not biologically related to them.
Okay. So have you? They're biracial too, correct? Because I seen the pictures.
Yep.
But so have you had that conversation with them? Like, do you guys with them? Do you?
We have. It's kind of insane, but like one of my brothers, he's gay, and then the other brother, he's a little bit more open, but he's pretty in line with like what my parents taught us to do. So it's just like we all kind of have this agreement. Like if we spend too much time together, it's right back to arguing type thing, because it's like my parents are very, you can do what you want in your day-to-day life, but if you ask me about it, I'm not going to approve of it. So we just don't bring it to them. They don't ask us about it because we know it's going to be an argument.
Okay. So your family knows that you're pansexual too, and so that's just like a don't ask, don't tell situation.
Yeah, pretty much. My brother, he's gay. Don't ask, don't tell. It, like we can talk. Me and that brother do talk a bit more about like our day-to-day lives, but everyone else is kind of just like, they know, but they don't need to know any details. Yeah.
So with your family dynamic, like looking from, man, social media will fool you. Looking from the outside in, like it looks like you're really close. Like
swear it does.
It does. Like, and it looks like you're really close. So that's obviously not really the case, or is it just?
We're close. It's just like I want to say superficial close. Like we're not talking super deep things all the time. It did help a lot when I had a kid because everyone kind of puts their stuff aside for a kid. They're letting me raise him how I want, which of course is it's quite a bit different from what I was raised. Mm-hmm. So everyone kind of like, they see that and then they accept it and allow it because, it's my kid. I can raise him how I want. Mm-hmm. So I really like that, but they respect it enough in my parenting, but we just don't talk about it to each other.
Yeah. So you guys, you mentioned you do have a kid. Mm-hmm. And when did you have your kid?
I had him when I was 19. And then like a month later, I turned 20. I always like to add that in because technically I do fall in the teen pregnancy statistic, but barely.
Okay.
I had a sign that said I beat teen pregnancy that I was going to hang up for my birthday.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Didn't make it there.
I was close.
And was this from a kid that was like in your high school, or how'd you?
It was a guy I met in college.
Okay.
I was fully convinced I was in love with him. As young as we do when we're young, but we had a kid and moved in together while I was pregnant.
Okay. And so you guys are no longer together?
We are not together anymore.
Okay. No. Okay.
No, it is a good nice one. It was not a healthy relationship, so it's a good thing we're out of it, but
did he know that you were like part of the community, or?
He did. I don't think he fully supported it. Especially cuz like I've learned some people are okay with it, but they don't support it, So I remember we would talk about like he would kind of fetishize it, which I always got angry at him for. Like he was okay with me kissing another girl, but if I kiss another guy, that's an issue. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, just because I am able to and I do enjoy kissing girls doesn't mean you need to be like that's what's okay.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, I fully believe that it's so much harder for gay men than it is for us women that like women, because there's some people out there who'll accept that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And some people enjoy that and overly fixate on that, but for gay men, I feel like it's so much harder. It's so much. They've always gotten like the short end of the stick on certain things, and I feel awful for them.
I feel like you brought up just like being a femme in the queer world. Do you feel like you have a hard time dating?
I do. Yeah, I do. Mostly because like I've always presented in the most like feminine, that's how I love to do it. But I'm a dominant in relationships, so then it's really hard, especially with men, that like it goes against the whole, stereotypical relationship, because like I want to be in that more power. I want to be like in the relationship with a man. I would like to take on that more masculine role, and that's just how it's always been for me. So it's kind of shocking when people get to know me and figure that out. You know, it's like, but I don't know. We all behave in a different way. We all look different. We all behave different, and it's just about finding somebody that matches with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, for sure, it doesn't really matter. Just like, I feel like it's I don't think it matters what your sexuality is in today's world. It's just like hard to date in general. And I'm glad I'm not out here dating anymore. Check that off, so I ain't gotta worry about that no more. But how is your family? Like, do you bring people? You said it's like a don't ask, don't tell with your family. Do you bring them around? Do you just keep that away, or?
My mom is there almost every day. She helps me out with my kid a lot. She's around me all the time. It's very just like, like we'll be like, hey, like, what are you doing today? And we kind of help out with things. We just never really talk about, like the serious, deep things. Like, we just kind of keep it superficial, which not the best, but also if it's got to be superficial, like at least my mom's around me still, and that's really dope. Like, because she's one of my really good friends, but there's just some things I know to not talk to her about, and she knows to not talk to me about. So,
Okay. That's, but you guys, obviously, did you guys like have this clear boundary set, or this is just like a boundary set between both of you that you just know that's there?
we just know it's there. The more I started discovering, she would see evidence of it. She follows me on social media. She's around me. She's around my friends, so she knows generally what's been going on, but she just never asked, so I just never told, and we've kept it that way.
Yeah. I think that's like it's an interesting dynamic that you guys have between the two. I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been
Right.
like, I'm not dealing with you, like shut you
Yeah.
out the family and just like not talk to you again anymore. Or this is the other route, or very accepting and opening and conversating.
Right.
So it's kind of like, it's not the worst, but again, it's kind of like back to how you grew up, like in the Christian school. It's not the worst
It's
when you
not
went to
the
circle.
worst.
So it's like, I can deal with this
Yeah.
situation. And although that's like, it seems like your mom, although has may not be willing to like understand this part, it seems like she loves you. Like, if she's willing to just be there for you regardless, I think
Right.
that's what it is. And it doesn't not everyone has like the great story of just like, yeah, it's opening and connecting and we just share everything and we're
Right.
best friends and all that. And that's not the reality of everybody's story.
Unfortunately,
Um,
yeah.
So you're giving a different perspective, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to relate just to having that dynamic still of that relationship, but there's just boundaries and it looks different, but
Right.
there's still a lot of love there.
Of course.
And that's really good. That's really good. And do you feel like, so I just want to say that because like, even though like, that's why you guys show that on social media, like it's not fake. It's just not it's just a different relationship
Right.
and different boundaries that are set between you guys.
Very true.
But yeah, so let's see. How long have you like dated a lot of people? Like you said, you came out and by pansexual, and have you explored that? Like, how was that like for you?
So I learned pretty quickly that I had been, because I'd always liked girls, but when you go to private Christian school, it was the idea that I could come out and I could do that, but then I would also have to have somebody else who's in the school come out if I wanted to date anyone that I went to school with. So like that was going to be a whole nother thing. Then the school can kick you out for being gay. So I just did not say a thing. Nobody, once again, don't ask, don't tell thing in high school. But like kept that behind closed doors. Senior year, that's when I just started identifying as pansexual. And it was so great. It was so great, but I realized I felt like I was relearning how to flirt, because I had never out in public hit on a female. That was a huge thing for me, is I had never done it out in public. And it took some practicing because I was like just nervous. Like I knew I wanted to, but I was nervous. But then I was realizing like I've dated predominantly men my entire life. So I'm just used to that. Like I just am used to it. I knew that I wanted to go after the women I wanted to, but like I didn't know how to. So it took me a solid 2 or 3 years to like figure out what I was doing. So I'm able to, meet someone, have a conversation, and then try and pursue it further with them.
Did you were you open about like that in high school? Like you came out like your senior, like in the high school specifically, like were you open to like that dynamic in the high school?
Yeah, very much so. In high school, I think my senior year, I think I dated one girl and I dated her throughout the entire school year. Because it was just like, that was, it wasn't like as frowned upon. It wasn't against the rules. So I was able to just do it freely. It's something I'd been wanting to do. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. And so when you explored like those options and stuff, you said the first time you've heard of it was the Miley Cyrus situation,
Yes.
right? Okay, and then when was the first time that you seen like representation of it just like in your day-to-day life? Like have you been around, like is it more common than we realize? Like
Right. So the places that I was at didn't really have it. Because, like I said, like I went Christian school, then I went to Circle, and then I went to like a really small college.
Okay.
I didn't really even see, because I wasn't a big media person either. I was still pretty closed off in my little sheltered bubble I had always been. I was still pretty close to that. But I remember when I moved back to Wichita after college, I sort of was everywhere. I just went downtown Wichita, and there was like small shops with pride flags and like the windows, and it was just like I could feel it and see it around me, and I had never experienced that as a kid, even though I was from the same town I was at. I just had never been around that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And that's just like queer stuff in general, right? Like that's like that was a whole new world for you.
And then like once you learn these places, like I learned how absolutely accepting it can feel to be around, people in your community. I didn't realize that, there were like areas that we could all, that sounds bad, but like I didn't know there were like shops and places that, that were accepting, that were busy, that we would go to have community. And I found that out. And it was once I started like meeting and getting connected with the community, it was that like changed everything for me. They are the most accepting people in Wichita. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in general, yeah. It's very, I still sometimes have like a little bit of like the whole struggle of like in certain situations I feel like I'm too light, certain situations I feel like I'm too dark. But that's luckily like around other like around others in the community, I really not really felt like that. So that's really nice.
Yeah, I think I know you're not the only one that feels that way. Like just like being a biracial person, I've heard multiple people just like of that experience of just being too white in the black spaces or being too black in the white spaces. So that is a whole nother like dynamic for sure.
Right.
And how have you navigated that? Because I feel like you were too black all growing up in high school, maybe sometimes even in your own home, like when it came to certain things.
Right.
So how have you navigated that?
So yeah, like you said, I was too black for a long time. So I wanted to fit in, and it was just I was too black for that. In college, that's when it switched over to where I was too white because I had been whitewashed for so long. Then I'm put in these different areas, and I didn't know what was going on. I was very behind. But learning about that, I was able to strengthen it. And now I just feel confident in both sides. And so even if I do feel too black in a situation, I'm confident in it and I can roll with it. So even if it does bother me, I've got enough confidence in myself and loving both sides of me that I'm able to, navigate and get through it. So
yeah. And you said when you got to college, how did you get introduced to that? Like, how was that like for you? And although like I had this same experience, like I not like the too white or too black in a sense, because I'm not half white,
right.
But being brainwashed, thinking things of my own race was definitely a thing, just because the town that I was raised in and all that I seen, like
right.
I didn't see much. So, what was like the first encounter? Like, what made you like, okay, I've been brainwashed. Like this is I know when mine was specifically, but when was yours?
Okay. This one, it throws it back a little bit, but this is a great thing that happened to me. In high school, when I was at Trinity, there were like 8 black people in the whole school. And first, we all decided after there was a forensic speech, and this girl gave an amazing speech about how stereotypes are dangerous and that sort of a thing. And then everyone in the school was supposed to vote on who won, and hers was obviously like, like it was the strongest, it was the best, but it wasn't about a theme that majority of the school knew about, so they didn't feel it or connect to it. So we decided to form a BSU, the Black Student Union, and we put up sign-up sheets for people to sign up. Nobody signed up except for all of us that were black. And then the day that we brought in food for lunch to like have like a celebration was the day that everyone and their dog tried to join the club. It was like once there was an incentive to join it, they would join it. And that was my moment where I was like I've literally been these people where like I don't know, like it was, how am I so disconnected from people? Like we disconnected over this poem that we heard. Like it's a feeling that we've all felt and nobody else is acknowledging it, respecting it, and I've been wanting to be like them. Like I've been wanting to be like that. So it was insane to me.
Yeah. My aha moment was I was in college. At this time I was getting my master's. So I was probably like 26, 27 age. And I joined the social work program, which this was like the first time that there had been, like, it was like the most diverse it had been in like history, I guess. Right. And I'm like sitting at a table full of black women and like I'm getting super close to them. Like we just connected. And some of the stuff I was saying was so ignorant. It was so ignorant. But it's what, like, I was always trying to be like the peacemaker, making excuses for people and just like, it's okay, they don't, and they just like literally laid it into me. Like they just ripped the Band-Aid off. It was like, I don't know what's going on with you, but listen. And they just like, every time I would say something and they would just like say it back, I would like be hurt. I would like, in the moment, I'm just like in my feelings, but I know what they said was true. Right. So it was like, I couldn't say anything. I was just like, I would think about it, and just like, I was dating a white girl at the time. And my boss, who was a white woman, had also just like been in my ear about things like, just, is she making sure that you're, that she sees your color? Like, is she recognizing this like in your relationship? And just like, I would go home and just be so pissed off at her, just like irritated, just because of just like all the stuff that was like coming at me. And I'm just like learning, I'm just like, oh, I can't be with you. She wasn't the one for me. And I don't even want to say this like on camera. I won't even say it on camera. Like, but just like, it was not the one for me. And that's when I knew I was just like, okay, I have been brainwashed, and this is not okay. Right. Like, and so I've completely switched. Like, it's, my whole mindset is just like, and I have friends that I'm still having to be like, that's not right. Like, they think the old me. So they think that I'm like being harsh on them and stuff. But I was like, they were harsh on me. I just had to have the harsh reality of what it is. And I think a lot of people just need that harsh reality of what it really is. And what was it like for you, just like having to figure it out on your own too? Like, I feel like you're it's not someone that you can go to with your parents. Like, how did you get through?
Lots of just like online research, which sounds wild, but it was a lot of it. And then I was able to kind of like pinpoint certain things like that I was taught that like, okay, like this is kind of a strange thing. Like I remember talking to people, even though my parents were both white, I was taught when you get pulled over by a cop, you make sure you seize your hands at all times and you like move slow. My parents taught me that. And then come to find out, not every kid is taught that. Some people are just taught, like police are there to help you, be friendly, and you'll be fine. I remember I asked a friend, like, okay, well, why did you teach me this? Because it's like, obviously, that's to protect me. Why did you teach me that? And they would just, like, oh, well, just for your safety is what they would always say. But it's like, I had to do research. Like, why do Black children get taught that we need to be careful when the cops pull us over? Then I was getting into that sort of a thing. And then, like, I just would start asking questions. I'd post a lot on a private story that I had with a whole bunch of my classmates in college. And I would post some of the dumbest questions, and people would just be sending me answers for it because, like, I wanted to know. I wanted, because I present more Black. So I wanted to know. So I really did a lot of research. A lot. And I'm still learning, of course, but, like, I did a lot of research.
Yeah, that's good that you're like seeking that and trying to get that understanding, because like it's hard and you have to do it on your own.
Right.
Like what do you wish would have happened, like being raised?
So that it makes it pretty lucky because now I have a kid, I can raise him in the way that I wish I was gonna be raised. I keep it very open. And I want, like, I understand people always say, like, it's your kid, not your best friend. But I wanna be friends with my kid. I still wanna be the disciplinarian, but like I wanna be, friends. So it's an open and safe space, but like we go to pride marches, he goes to church every week. Like I keep it very open. You can try everything, experience everything, because if you get experience in it, then when you first start wanting to learn about it, it's not so scary, Like you already have intros to all of these worlds. People who you can go to talk to if you want to look into something, and it's just like keeping a good open community. And I wish that would have been the case, but it was very one path when I was getting raised. So.
And you have that open like your kid's still young though.
Yeah, he's only 4.
Yeah. So how do you feel like, so this is how your way of slowly introducing him to
because of course at this age everything's just fun, everything's just fun. So if I can kind of show him the good and the fun in every aspect, then as he grows up he can kind of choose and decide what he wants to focus more on.
Yeah, for sure. And you said he goes to church weekly. Do you go to church as well?
I do not go to church.
Okay.
So he goes to church, but I don't. I've told him many a times that he likes church. It goes to the one that his grandma goes to. It goes to the kids' zone. It's fine. They're doing coloring pages and eating snacks. Like, it's really nothing, like, too crazy that I'm really worried about. But he enjoys it. And he knows that, like, mom supports him. But he tells, like, his teacher, I like church, but my mom doesn't. So she just picks me up. And he tells him that, and I'm okay with it. Like, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but if you are, then you are. So,
do you feel like it's because of just your relationship being a queer person and like just how you were treated like at your Christian school, or?
It's just, my issue is, I've always said, I have too much knowledge. Because at the basis of most religions is faith. And the problem is I have too much knowledge to have just like blind faith. It's way too much. I would go to church 3 times a week my entire life. I was homeschooled so I could get a better Christian education. Christian school. So I would go to Christian school all week. Still go to church 3 nights a week. It was just like, that's all I knew. So then in high school, it was still more serious, but it was like, then we're getting into the physics and the math of it all. And we were going through, Plato, Aristotle, all of their works. And at that point, I had too much knowledge, too much in my head that I wouldn't be able to believe it. I think there's some good pointers, but like I have so many more questions and answers just because of how much I was taught about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I'm a believer. I believe in God. I'm too blessed not to like.
swear.
There's, I'm just too blessed, but I know that like people are part of the community and stuff. It's just like people just like steer away from that just
Right.
because of just the hatred that people say like about the community. But I'm at the place in my life where it's just like I don't really care. Just like what your feeling is, I have my
Right.
relationship with God.
Of course.
Have your own.
That's why I love that my kid goes to church because like I don't think there's anything bad. I think my mom's relationship, she's a big Christian. Her relationship with God is fantastic, and if I was able to have a relationship like that, I would. But once again, the knowledge is just I just know too much about it, so I don't want to like waterboard him with it. You know what I mean? Because that's the issue. Is mine was like all church, and I feel like when you force feed somebody something so long, they don't want it anymore. Mm-hmm. And that was my issue with church. So I want him to have, it's a good open place. Like if you want this is what Granny has. Granny has it's super cool. If he wants to go after that, I fully will support it. It's just I can't follow it. And at least I've got like a good reason to explain to him if he does, like why his mom doesn't believe it. But
yeah, he's definitely just like way too young to even just like comprehend that right now, though.
Yeah, we're gonna keep him in it for a couple of years. Let him figure it out.
Yeah, that's good though that you're giving him like all these options and just not like this is one way. That's how it is because, like you said, you're trying to change and you're trying to make a difference and just like how you were raised. So that is really good. Now you say you're in your bio you're passionate about women's rights and gay rights.
Yes.
So now that you're just like more aware and you're like educating yourself, what does your advocacy look like?
So I am in a couple groups that form physical protests around town.
Okay.
We did a couple of them here. The last big couple we had, of course, was for abortion rights. So we did some marches for that. Me and a couple of friends went out to Topeka to protest with a bigger group. So we kind of hop around in the area around us. But I really like to be involved because, like I don't like to look at the news. I don't like to do that stuff. And I've always learned that in-person protest is where I thrive more. Better at face-to-face. But that way, you're seen. People are just going on their day and they're seeing it. You can answer questions if they have any. But like I like to do as many protests, especially for the things I believe in. Physical protests are my huge thing.
Yeah. What would an advocate look like for you? Like what can someone that's around you, how can they be a better advocate for you specifically?
Helping to spread the word, because the problem is that when someone is if someone believes in something, the word's gotta spread or it just stays in a little group, Like I feel like everyone just, share, get the message out there of what needs to be heard, because the more people you put it in front of, the better. So
yeah, I like that. Keeping the word going, like if you hear the information, spread it to your friend group. Like that's a way that you can be an ally, is just getting the knowledge and sharing the information for people that may be a part of your group that isn't wanting to seek out that education for themselves, and just like correcting them maybe in those situations that they may say something that's not appropriate or whatnot. But yeah, I like that. So, final question for the audience: what would you like to leave the audience with today?
Be nice to everyone. Happy Pride Month, and follow me on TikTok.
What's your TikTok?
It is at the Holly Green Giant.
The Holly Green Giant. Ah, yes. Well, thank you, Holly.
Of course.
I appreciate you coming here today. You gave a lot of information. I feel like you being a biracial person who was adopted by a white family and just like the dynamics that you have had to go through, I hope that someone is watching this and they change their behavior if they're doing the same thing to their kid of an adoption, or just have someone that they have in their family, because as you can see, as an adult now, you're searching for that by yourself. You're trying to find your identity by yourself, when it would have helped out a lot better if you were shown that throughout your life. And just being a pansexual woman who has a kid, like, a lot of people are going to relate to your story and just having to navigate this world. So thank you again so much for joining me here on Kueen Talk today. Everyone, thank you guys for tuning into this episode. Please follow her on her TikTok, as she asked. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Like this video, leave a comment as well. If you know anyone interested in being a guest on Kueen Talk, please have them fill out the form below in the link. If you're listening, you may have some questions for a guest you want to ask anonymously. Click on the link below as well. As always, family, friends, strangers, love. Be nice.